Oluchi screamed, clutching her chest as the bone straight slipped from her head. Her diamond necklace fell to the floor, scattering across the marble floor like broken promises. The mansion's walls seemed to breathe. The young cook, Morenike, hid behind the corridor curtain, holding her mouth to stop herself from crying out. She had just seen it, her madam convulsing, eyes rolling into whiteness. Only moments before, Oluchi had slapped Morenike for burning the turkey. Useless thing, she had hissed. Now she was gasping her last breath. Daniel, her husband, burst into the room with fake concern, scooping her into his arms. "Someone call the doctor," he shouted, but none of the staff had phones. He had taken them. Morenike knew something wasn't right. She had heard chanting the night before. She had seen the black calabash behind the freezer, and she knew Daniel wasn't crying out of grief. He was hiding something. Before the mansion, before the servants, Oluchi had lived in her late father's compound in Omocha, proud, beautiful, and cruel with her tongue, always dreaming of a luxurious life. Suitors lined in the compound every market day. Traders, teachers, even a gentle pharmacist, but she sneered at them all. "If you can't buy me a Lamborghini, then don't waste my time," she would say. Her mother, Mama Oge, warned her, "Beauty fades, pride blinds. Be careful." But Oluchi's eyes were set on wealth, not wisdom. So when Daniel arrived in a convoy of 3 cars, with a Rolex glinting, and called her "my jewel," she didn't ask for background, she said yes. Their marriage was grand, covered by bloggers, her face glowing in gold gele. He gifted her a mansion in Lekki, a Lamborghini, 3 house helps, and a chef. Oluchi walked on marble floors, but she never noticed the cracks underneath. Morenike arrived during the rainy season, just 18. She had come to spend the school break working as a cook's assistant. She immediately noticed the strange silence in the mansion. The other maids, Lara who cleaned, Kumbi who handled laundry, and Toyin who served, spoke little, eyes cast downward. Oluchi, the queen of the mansion, barely knew their names. "Servants are not friends," she often said. She backed orders, changed her outfit 5 times a day, and called them bush girls. Morenike once had her throw hot tea on Lara, but Daniel just chuckled. "She's fiery, that's why I love her." At night, the head cook warned Morenike, "Don't go near the flower garden." Why, she never said. But one night, Morenike saw Daniel disappear into the flower garden with a goat and return without it. She told herself it was none of her business, but in that house, even silence carried screams. Curiosity pulled Morenike toward the flower garden one morning when everyone was asleep. She crept into the garden. The garden was filled with flowers of different fragrance. In the center of the garden was a dogged hole filled with skulls and bones, and a calabash. Inside the calabash was human blood and a wedding photo of Oluchi and Daniel. Right there, Morenike felt a hand grip her shoulder. The calabash fell from her hand as she turned around, only to see her boss, Daniel, eyes red like blood, wearing the most dangerous smile. Good morning, sir," Morenike stunted, but Daniel replied by saying, "Curiosity, they say, kills a rat." Morenike ran back to the mansion, her heart beating like drum. Oluchi no longer danced when her favorite song played. Her hair thinned. She wore long ropes to hide bruises. She didn't understand. "I think I'm cursed," she told her husband Daniel. He kissed her forehead. "It's just fatigue, my queen." But when she asked to see a doctor, he got angry. "Do you think I would let anything happen to you?" he asked, his voice too calm. She obeyed. Every day, another necklace. Every night, another nightmare. Her reflection began to flicker. Once, she saw herself in the mirror without a face. She broke the mirror out of fear. Oluchi could feel things going wrong, but she was too blinded by luxury. That day, she yelled at Morenike for not bowing properly. "You village rats, forget your place," she snapped. Morenike didn't answer. That same night, Lara, the cleaner, found feathers under Oluchi's pillow. Fresh ones. She reported to Morenike, who was her only friend in the mansion. Now Morenike's doubts were being confirmed. Something was definitely wrong. But what? It was 12 midnight. Morenike followed Daniel secretly. He entered a forbidden room in the mansion. But this time, she peeked through a crack. She saw him painting Oluchi's name on a wooden board with black liquid. He whispered into a mirror, slicing a white cock. The air became thick. "Accept her. Let her beauty be your prize," he chanted. Morenike nearly dropped her tray. Later, she warned her boss Oluchi, who laughed cruelly. "Jealousy is ugly," Oluchi said, "even for a kitchen rat." Oluchi was blind to the truth. Her pride had built a palace around her mind. The next morning, one of the house help, Toyin, quit suddenly. "I saw a hand come out of the wall," she said to Morenike and other maids, shaking, and left without her pay. That night, Morenike didn't sleep. She knew her boss Daniel was evil, but she needed proof. The next week, Daniel called for a feast. "To celebrate my queen's strength," he said, smiling too wide. He invited no guests, only Oluchi, the house helps, and the cook staff. A golden table was set in the flower garden. Morenike noticed the chicken was undercooked, and the wine oddly thick. Daniel insisted Oluchi drink. "For good health," he said. She obeyed, weary and pale. As the sun set, Oluchi laughed weakly and fell from her chair, convulsing. The maids froze. Daniel shouted, "She's choking!" But Morenike saw it. His eyes were glowing. She rushed forward, trying to help, but he shoved her aside. "Don't touch her!" Oluchi's body shook violently, then stillness. The woman who had once walked like royalty now lay like a broken doll. She was sick for weeks. Daniel said quietly, "We will bury her tomorrow." But Morenike clenched her fists. She knew this wasn't death by sickness, it was sacrifice. The burial was rushed. No autopsy, no police, no family, except Oluchi's mother, who wasn't allowed to see the body. "We followed her wishes," Daniel told her coldly. He wept at the graveside like a practiced actor. The village mourned a little. Some whispered that girl was too proud. But Morenike knew the truth. She had taken one thing before the burial, Oluchi's hairbrush. It still held strands of hair. That night, she visited an old babalawo she knew through her grandmother. She handed him the hair and the feather Lara found. He chanted, eyes shut. When he opened them, he said, "She was offered. Her spirit is bound to the mirror of that house. Her body is gone. Her soul is not at rest." Morenike went back to the mansion and stared into the mirror for a moment. Oluchi's shadow stared back, and she whispered, "He is not done." Strange incidents kept occurring. The house helps kept plotting on how to escape from the mansion, but they couldn't. While Morenike kept plotting on how to expose Daniel's evil deeds. Now that Oluchi was gone, Daniel began to host wealthy visitors at night. Politicians, musicians, big men. Strange laughter echoed. Morenike had drums, sometimes screams. She was only the first, the Babalawo warned. He must offer 5 to seal the pact. Morenike knew the next sacrifice would be another woman, and she might be the one. She waited. She didn't sleep. She didn't eat, but she watched. Until the night, she saw him lay a white cloth on her door, marked with cowries. That night, she didn't hide. She called the police. The officers arrived just before midnight, led by a skeptical inspector named Taye. "We received a tip," he said flatly. Daniel welcomed them politely, even offered wine. "My wife died recently. The staff are grieving strangely." But Morenike led them to the flower garden and the forbidden room. She had left the trapdoor open. The inspector descended and froze. Candles burned beside scores. A new list was written on a scroll. Morenike's name was the second. Oluchi's name had been crossed out. "Arrest him," the inspector ordered. Daniel snarled like a beast, leaping toward the trapdoor, but his foot slipped. The officers pinned him down. Morenike watched, trembling, as they dragged him away. He screamed, "You will never sleep again. I gave her the word." Morenike whispered and took her soul. The mansion was sealed, but the mirror in Oluchi's old room cracked slowly from the inside. The trial shook the country. Social media called him the ritual groom. Former girlfriends came forward. Police dug up parts of the mansion, bones, beads, locks of hair. Daniel denied everything. "She wanted the riches," he said. "We all pay somehow." Morenike, Lara, and other house helps testified calm and clear. The strange images from the forbidden room was published online. The mansion was burnt on government orders. As flames rose, someone swore they saw a woman's shadow walk out of the fire and vanished. Daniel was sentenced to life imprisonment. Morenike returned to her hometown. She was held a heroine, but in her dreams, Oluchi stood barefoot in room of broken mirrors, whispering, "You freed me, but not all of me returned." The pride that brought riches left without hunting.